So in the beginning, I mentioned the price to rent ratio, and anybody that's investing heavily and sophisticated, purchasing property to drive rental revenue knows this formula really well. But it's a pretty simple formula: the cost of the home divided by what you can expect to get annually for the rent, and that'll give you a ratio. Now, I took a few examples here. In the example here, Phoenix has a median home value of $266,000 and a median annual rent of $13,000 and change. So the price to rent ratio is 20-ish. Now, obviously you get that by dividing the 13 into the 266. Now, I took a few examples from kind of the top, the worst case scenarios, the middle case, and then the best case. So you want this number to be as low as possible, basically. So in the US, I think the lowest one I could find was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Not to take any shots at Milwaukee. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the best case scenario because it's about a 12 or 13 price to rent ratio, which means that the homes cost about 12.87 times what you would expect to get in rental revenue annualized. And Phoenix was a little bit higher. San Francisco was a bit ridiculous, over 50. In other words, the home is 50. It would take you, basically 50 years, even if you had no expenses, to bring that ratio to even. So it's a bit crazy. Now, even you take all three of the ones I just talked about today in Latin America, and they're all quite a bit better than, by quite a long shot, better than those other ones in terms of price to rent ratio. The Runa one is actually the best by this standard of metric. It's under 5, which is a really amazing. The downside to Runa is the cost of, barrier to entry is the cost is a little higher to acquire the home. The Reef is the least expensive one, but it's middle of the road or middle of the road of R3. That example is really still spectacularly good at a 6.12 with a very low cost to acquire and a pretty reasonably high rental return. And Playa Pacifica slightly more expensive, but a little bit about similar to the Reef in terms of rental return. So give it about a 7. Again, all excellent. Anything under 10 is, you can't even touch in the US or Canada or Europe, hardly. Australia, wherever you look, you're not going to find those kind of price to rent ratios. So that's only available in Latin America and these countries because, the price to get in is so low right now. And so that gives you two amazing things: the price to rent ratio that we just talked about, but the potential for capital gain, because we're low on the curve on where this is going to end up. I mean, Costa Rica is 5 times more expensive perhaps than these countries, than certainly than Nicaragua or Honduras to buy an equivalent home in. And as these countries get more and more discovered, the capital gain is likely to be very, very good for everybody that's investing now.